Hi, this is Jamie Perkunis, and I'm here to show you a few things you can do with a roller. I have two rollers with me today. One roller is a hard roller, kind of your standard, not the super hard, but your standard hard roller, foam roller that you could probably pick up anywhere. And then another one is a softer roller. I get these from a website called OPT. I believe. I'll put it on the link below. And it's a little bit softer, so it gives a little bit. These rollers tend to be a little bit more comfortable if you're working with the side of the leg or an area of the body that's really tight. And I tell people when trying to decide what roller to get is you want to choose the roller that you'll use. So if you don't mind being uncomfortable, then maybe consider doing a hard roller if you have a high pain tolerance or you don't really mind discomfort. If you're pretty sensitive to discomfort or area of body feels really sensitive, then I'd highly recommend the softer rollers. These are really nice rollers. I can show you the bottom of it. And they come in a little bit longer, and this is the shorter version, which is great for traveling and for packing away if you tend to move around a lot. So what I'm going to show you, we'll start first with opening up in the shoulder area. This can be done with the hard or soft roller. I usually work with my clients first with the soft roller, and if they tolerate that pretty well, then I have them do a hard roller. Another alternative to doing a roller is to just take blanket rolls and roll them up, and it doesn't give you the opportunity to roll, but it gives you the feel of the roller. Okay, so for this one, you're gonna rest on your side, and you're gonna take the roller, we're actually going to start low on the back and then move up into the rib cage and then all the way up to underneath the armpit and then into the arm. What we want to be careful of is down here, we actually have some ribs that poke out. They're called your floating ribs. There's two of them. It's ribs 11 and 12. And we don't want to be pressing directly on them. So that's why when we start, we actually start on the back of the body. So you're going to take the roller to just above the pelvis, and right above the iliac crest, and you can just rock side to side and maybe rock up and down. So this area we're getting into is actually where the latissimus dorsi attaches, and the latissimus dorsi comes all the way up through the side of our body and attaches onto our shoulder. It's a shoulder muscle and it's also a back muscle. And this technique is to open up that area. We're also getting into some of the back musculature here too. And I'm going to start to roll up more when I get onto the rib cage, so the rounded parts of the ribs where they're not poking. So if you're feeling a poking rib, you want to make sure you go up a little higher, closer to the middle of the rib cage, just to avoid pressing directly on the floating ribs. So you can rock forward and back here. So a lot of times it's tempting on the roller to roll up and down a lot, and that's okay. I find that that's helpful, but I find it more helpful to rock side to side. So I'm just slowly inching up my body. Obviously we're rolling forward and back. If you're a lady, you're gonna have some breast tissue to watch out for. So just go as far as feels comfortable. Make sure you go far enough back that you feel the roller get to the shoulder blade area. There's some nice juicy parts in the shoulder blade there. So I'm gonna rock back. You might find some tender points. I like to keep the hand holding my head when I start to get up into the shoulder. And then I'm rolling even more into the armpit here. And if you find a tender spot, I tend to find one right by the shoulder blade area. You're going to hold on to that spot and then straighten and bend the arm. So this might be pleasantly uncomfortable. Again, I'm using the soft roller here. So when I do it on the other side, I'll use the hard roller just to kind of show you it works very much the same. And then you can come all the way up into the arm. So I'm using the roller to roll further up, but then I'm just rocking back and forth. So in this position, you can also get all the way down, and depending on how far forward you can get to the underside of the pec minor and pec major muscles. We're going back here, we're getting into some of the rotator cuff, teres major, teres minor, latissimus dorsi, getting some serratus anterior when we were on the rib cage. Now we're also getting into the triceps a little bit here. And again, rocking forward and back. And if you find a tender spot, stay there. Straighten and bend the elbow. Alright. And then go ahead and release. Come on up for just a moment. And before going to the other side, just observe and notice we feel a difference from one side of your body to the other. You can even check it out by lifting your arms up and just notice if one arm feels like it lifts up a little bit better or smoother than the other arm. You can even play a little bit with twisting to see what that feels like. All right, so now we'll go to the other side. So I'm gonna use the hard roller this time. So again, we're gonna start on the back of the body. So we want to start right, so the top of the pelvis is here, so we're going to come to the top, the back of the body here, and then we'll start to roll around when we get to the rib cage more. So you're just going to be here in the back, and you'll just roll up and down, and rock side to side a little bit. So you're not really going onto your side, you're still staying on the back here. And then I'm going to go ahead and roll so that you get above those floating ribs. And now you're solidly on the rib cage. So instead of just the floating ribs, you're on the rib cage. And then again, rock forward and backwards. And then let the roller move up. And then rock forward and backwards. So I'm just, with each rock, I'm just letting the roller move a little bit further up. So I'm going towards underneath my armpit. And once I get underneath the armpit, then this is where I like to bring the hand in to hold the head. And again, rocking forward. And make sure you go all the way back to the shoulder blade. And make sure you're breathing, that's important too. And then let the roller roll up a little bit higher into the arm. And again, forward and back. If you find a tender spot, stop, hold the spot. Straighten and bend the elbow. And keep breathing. And then maybe even bring it up into the arm a little bit more. Into the triceps. So the tricep muscle, a lot of the muscles we're working move up and down. They orientate up and down. So when we do this, we're moving across the muscles. So more of our crossing across the muscles, which is opening up the muscles a little bit of a different way. And don't forget to keep breathing. Again, if you find a tender spot, hold, and then straighten and bend. And keep breathing. And then go ahead and release. And come on out. And now we'll take the roller this time. And we'll use it for working and rolling out the quadriceps muscles. So we worked into the sides here, and again, maybe check it out. See how it feels. Lift your arms up. Maybe even twist. Just observe. Alright. So now we're going to take the roller, and I like to use the hard roller for my quadriceps. So we're going to take the roller and we'll rest the quadriceps on. This might be where a longer roller could be helpful. The shorter rollers can work, but a lot of times we like to maybe keep our legs a little bit further apart when we're rolling, so having a little bit of a wider roller could be helpful. Or longer roller, I should say. So now you're going to take your quads, the front of the thighs, to the roller. And again, the temptation is going to be to go up and down. And I'm not saying to not go up and down, but just to concentrate first on rocking side to side. And then roll up and down as you rock side to side. So I call this rocking and rolling. This usually brings up sensations in the quads that maybe you're not used to feeling, as though someone were massaging your quads. So we're doing this, I'm doing this round with my legs straight. Then you're going to bend one knee, the other leg will stay straight, and you're going to rock side to side. The temptation is going to be when you bend your knee is maybe to pull up your hips. So try to keep your hips low, but try not to dump into the low back. So this is a bit of core work here. So keep your body in a plank-like position. Again, just one knee bend, you're going to rock side to side. We'll usually change the stretch a little bit. And then the other leg will bend. And straighten one leg, bend the other one, and rock side to side. And breathe. I wore my muscle pants so you could kind of see under your skin maybe what the muscles would be looking like. So again, the quadricep muscles run up and down. And as we rock side to side, we're opening up the tissue in a little bit of a different way than just rolling up and down. All right. And then you can try rolling up and down. For most of us, the rocking will make it more intense than just the rolling. All right. Next is to work on the IT band. Unfortunately, my pants don't have a really accurate IT band. So if I were willing to maybe ruin my pants, I would put a big piece of duct tape down the side of my leg, which is where the IT band would be. And the IT band attaches onto the quadricep, but it also has a muscle belly attachment up here in the hip to the tensor fascia lata, or the TFL is what it's called for short. And then it also connects to the glute maximus. So again, when we're rolling on the IT band, the temptation is going to be to go up and down, but I actually want you to go side to side. What we want to be careful is to stay away from the crease of the hip. So right around the crease of the hip, there's a bone on the side, and we've maybe heard of people getting hip bursitis. And hip bursitis is, there's a burst underneath the IT band between the greater trochanter, which is a bony prominence in the femur, and the IT band. And there's a bursa underneath there to kind of keep things moving smoothly. And if we irritate that bursa, we could inflame that area, and then we have more discomfort. So you want to stay below the crease of the hip and just above the knee joint. I'm going to resort to the softer roller when I do the IT band. Again, hard roller tends to be a little bit more intense. So you're going to rest on your side. Now, a couple of things to consider is that if you bring one foot in front or behind, it's going to be less intense than if you stack your legs. It's also less intense if you keep your foot on the ground versus if you lift your legs off the ground. So this is the most intense position. This is a little bit less intense here, and a little bit more intense if you lift your leg up. But you do want to make sure the bottom leg is really straight and strong. And again, you're going to rock forward and backwards. And then again, roll to the next spot, rock forward and backwards. And then roll to the next spot, rock forward and backwards. Keep breathing. If it gets too intense, then just release your top leg. And you can use your top leg to kind of help you roll forward and backwards. So don't forget to do the whole length of the leg. There's a lot of space between the crease of your hip and your knee. And what will happen is we'll tend to stay in a spot that maybe isn't as tender and just hang out there and be like, wow, this is not so bad. But try to find a tender spot. People ask me, how long will this take before it becomes pain-free to do? And in my experience with clients, I had one client who was doing it every day with a hard roller for 6 months. And he said after 6 months of doing it every single day, he noticed it felt a little bit like there was no pain. So if you can calculate that quickly in your head, that's a lot of days of rolling. So notice the difference between your sides, maybe. Observe if you have a chance to maybe do a stretch in between. For time's sake, I'm just going to move on to the other side. So you'll switch, and again, you'll line the side of your body. Stacking your legs is the most intense, so consider releasing your top leg forward or back. Keep the bottom leg straight and strong as you rock forward and back. And keep breathing. So you're going to stay above the knee joint. but make sure you can get just above the knee joint. So you're not going to be on the outside of the knee, but you're just above it. Keep breathing. And this will likely be uncomfortable for most people. So if it's not for you, then maybe if the soft roller feels okay, maybe consider doing the hard roller. But if the hard roller is too intense and you're crunching your face and you're thinking negative thoughts and you wonder if your leg is going to break, it's probably too intense. So that's where soft roller or adding a blanket to the roller to soften it up a little bit might be a good idea. And then come on out. So that was just exploring 3 different ways to use the roller for rocking and rolling. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at the contact information at the end of this video.